Welcome to the deep dive. Before we really get into the sources today, I just want to say that may you find peace and divine strength in whatever challenges you are facing this week.
Yeah, absolutely. A great way to start.
Thanks. And, speaking of seemingly impossible challenges, I want you to just imagine for a second being trapped between a heavily armed Roman hit squad on one side and a ruthless dictator obsessed with his public image on the other.
I mean, that is a terrifying place to be.
Right. But that's exactly where our deep dive takes us today. Our mission is to explore an ancient narrative from Acts chapter 12, drawing from several study Bibles and biblical commentaries, and it reads exactly like a modern political thriller.
Oh, it really does. It has everything.
It totally does. We're unpacking a maximum security prison break, the fragile ego of a tyrant, a surprising touch of dark comedy, and a literal supernatural showdown.
It's a packed chapter.
It is. And to set the stage for you, picture the early Christian church at the very start of this narrative. They are just completely cornered. It feels a lot like the ancient Israelites trapped between the Red Sea and the Egyptian army. Just this massive, insurmountable threat bearing down on them and absolutely no visible way out.
Yeah, the tension is just immense right at the beginning because the movement is, it's so young and vulnerable.
Right, they're just getting started.
Exactly. And they have just run headfirst into the crushing machinery of the state. And to really grasp the peril they were in, you have to look at the man operating that machinery, King Herod Agrippa III.
Right, the man lighting the match to the powder keg.
Yes. And whenever that name Herod pops up in the historical record, it carries a very heavy legacy. This guy is the grandson of Herod the Great.
Oh, wait. Herod the Great. That's the king who famously tried to wipe out an entire generation in Bethlehem to kill baby Jesus, right?
That's the one. So,
Yeah.
it's a really dark family legacy to inherit.
Yeah, no kidding.
But Agrippa Cert, he wasn't just some local provincial ruler trying to figure things out on the fly. He was an incredibly connected political operative.
Like a real insider.
Exactly. He was actually raised in Rome, rubbing shoulders with the absolute elite, and he cultivated very close personal friendships with the Roman emperors Caligula and Claudius.
Wow, those are heavy hitters to have on speed dial.
Right. And because he had those connections, he was handed rule over a massive territory, Judea, Samaria, and Galilee. He basically managed to rebuild the sprawling kingdom of his grandfather.
Which is wild. But governing that much territory creates a massive political dilemma, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. He is walking a razor-thin tightrope between two opposing forces.
The Romans and the locals.
Exactly. On one side, he has his Roman bosses who demand absolute order, high taxes, and just unwavering loyalty to the empire.
Right.
But on the other side, he has the Jewish population he actively rules over, who deeply, deeply resent the Roman occupation and its pagan culture.
So he's stuck in the middle.
Yeah. And Agrippa is a total pragmatist. Behind closed doors, he is living this luxurious, pleasure-seeking, deeply Roman lifestyle.
So wait, the sources say he was living this luxurious pagan lifestyle in private, but playing the fiercely pious religious zealot in public just for the poll numbers.
Yep. It was a complete duality.
Man, how did this calculated move set the stage for what happens to Peter?
Well, it makes him incredibly dangerous. He needs a way to unite his fractured base and prove his loyalty to the religious establishment. So he uses the oldest political trick in the book. He finds a marginalized group to scapegoat.
And the early Christians were the perfect target.
Exactly. The religious establishment viewed them not just as a nuisance, but as a dangerous, fanatical threat.
Because they were claiming a crucified Galilean was the true king.
Right, which inherently threatened the strict Orthodox power structures and the fragile peace with Rome. So Herod realizes that creating this new sect is a highly effective, low-cost way to gain immense national popularity.
It solidifies his brand as the defender of the faith.
Yes. And he goes straight for the jugular. He doesn't start with the lower-level followers. He targets the leadership.
Right. He has James, the brother of John, executed by the sword.
And we really can't gloss over how devastating this is for them.
No, absolutely not. James isn't just a prominent figure. He is part of the absolute inner circle.
Yeah.
I mean, years earlier, James had confidently told Jesus that he was ready to, quote, drink the cup of suffering that Jesus would drink. And here, in a sudden, brutal political calculation by Herod, James's earthly mission is violently completed.
The psychological blow to the early church would have been just staggering. I mean, this is the first of the original apostles to be martyred.
Right. It creates a profound theological crisis.
Exactly. They had seen miracles, they had seen thousands convert, and now suddenly their leadership is bleeding out. It forces them to confront the brutal reality that their faith does not guarantee physical safety from state violence.
Yeah, that's a harsh wake-up call.
Yeah.
And Herod, being the politician he is, sees the poll numbers spike after killing James.
Oh, he loves the approval ratings.
So he immediately pivots to the highest profile target, left Peter.
But the timing is tricky for him.
Right, because it's the festival of unleavened bread, leading right into Passover. And Herod doesn't want to break religious law by executing someone during a Holy Week.
It would be a massive public relations disaster.
Exactly. So he throws Peter in prison to wait it out. And the sources point out this wasn't just a local jail cell. He likely puts him in the Antonia fortress.
Yeah, and the Antonia fortress is crucial to understanding the psychological warfare at play here.
How so?
Well, this wasn't just a regular building. It was a massive, imposing Roman garrison built specifically to overlook the Jewish temple.
So it physically loomed over the religious center of Jerusalem.
Exactly. It acted as a constant looming shadow of Roman domination. Throwing Peter in there was a clear message to the entire city about who is really in charge.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And the level of security Herod assigns to Peter is just, it's completely unhinged.
No, it's extreme overkill.
He puts 16 elite soldiers on him.
16?
Right. That's 4 squads of 4, rotating for each night watch. The sources say Peter is sleeping chained directly to 2 soldiers, with 2 more standing at the door.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's like calling in a full tactical SWAT team to guard 1 unarmed, sleeping fisherman.
That's a great way to put it.
But you know what I find fascinating is the church didn't riot. They didn't form a militia. They just prayed. Why do the sources place such a massive emphasis on this specific reaction?
It's a great question. We often misinterpret prayer as a last resort, right? Something you do when you have no other options.
Like throwing up a Hail Mary.
Exactly. But the commentary refers to this as the strength of the weak. In the context of the ancient Near East, engaging in continuous 204/7 prayer was a profound act of active, nonviolent resistance.
So they aren't just passively accepting defeat.
Not at all. By praying, they are actively appealing to a higher jurisdiction than Rome. They recognize that fighting Herod on his own terms, with swords or political lobbying, is a losing game.
They are shifting the battlefield.
Yes. They bypass the local governor entirely and take the appeal straight to the Supreme Court of the universe.
Wow. And while the church is agonizing in this intense continuous prayer, the focus shifts back to Peter's cell.
Right, on the very eve of his execution.
Exactly. Tomorrow is the day he is supposed to be dragged out and killed for public entertainment. You'd expect him to be pacing the floor, sweating, maybe panicking.
But begging the guards for mercy.
Right. Instead, we get this scene of profound calm. Peter's fast asleep.
The psychology of surrender here is just fascinating.
To sleep soundly while chained between 2 executioners, that requires a level of internal peace that defies human logic.
It really does. He has completely accepted his fate, whether that means waking up to a miracle or waking up to a sword. He has let go of the outcome.
He's sleeping so deeply that when the angel finally shows up, Peter doesn't even stir.
The angel actually has to strike him on the side just to wake him up.
Yes. And then the escape itself is almost comical in its casualness. The angel tells him, get up quickly, but then starts issuing methodical wardrobe instructions.
Right, like get dressed, put on your sandals.
Wrap your cloak around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if I am breaking out of a maximum security prison hours before my execution, I am sprinting out of there barefoot.
Oh, absolutely.
The angel basically tells him, make sure you grab your jacket so you don't catch a cold. What does this say about Peter's trust in God?
Well, the commentary makes a brilliant observation here about the unhurried nature of God.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. The sheer lack of panic is the point. God is not in a panic. The divine timeline operates completely independent of human anxiety.
That is so hard for us to grasp.
It is. Think of a master potter working with a furnace. The clay is in the fire, and to an observer, it looks like it's being destroyed by the heat.
Right.
But the potter knows the exact temperature and the precise, down to the second timing required to temper that clay. He allows the heat to work for the exact necessary time.
He doesn't yank it out early in a panic.
Exactly. God moves in a slow, solemn rhythm that matches his sovereignty. There is no need to run when the universe is orchestrating the jailbreak.
Man, that is powerful. So the chains just silently fall off Peter's wrists. He and the angel walk past the guards, reach the massive iron gate leading into the city, and it opens automatically.
Like grocery store sliding doors.
Literally.
Oh.
And the moment Peter is safely out on the street, the angel simply leaves him, vanishes.
Yeah, that abrupt departure is so interesting. The commentary points out a profound theological rule here. God does the supernatural, but he expects humans to do the natural.
So he shatters the iron chains, but expects Peter to walk himself down the street.
Exactly. Once Peter was standing on a public street, he had 2 working legs and a brain. He didn't need a miracle to navigate his way to a safe house. The divine provides exactly what is impossible for us to achieve, but it doesn't coddle us by doing what we are perfectly capable of doing ourselves.
That's a great point. So Peter gathers his bearings and heads straight for the house of Mary.
Right, the mother of John Mark.
Yep, the same John Mark who would later write the Gospel of Mark. So this home is clearly a major hub for the early church. So Peter gets there and knocks on the heavy outer gate. A servant girl named Rhoda comes to the door. She asks who it is, hears Peter's voice, and gets so excited that she completely short-circuits.
She forgets to open the door.
She totally forgets. She leaves the most wanted fugitive in Jerusalem standing out on the street, completely exposed, and runs back inside to tell everyone.
It is a moment of brilliant human comedy, inserted right into the middle of a high-stakes thriller.
It really is. Peter's probably standing there, looking over his shoulder for Roman patrols, thinking, could somebody please just unlock the gate?
Right. And the reaction of the church inside is even more revealing.
Oh, this is the supreme irony of this moment. Rhoda bursts in and announces Peter is at the gate. These are the very people who are literally having an all-night prayer vigil for Peter's release.
Yep.
And when he knocks on the front door, they aggressively refuse to believe it. They tell her she's crazy. They try to logic away the very miracle they were begging for.
It's because protective pessimism is so much easier to process than hope. They were praying for a miracle, but deep down, their grief had already convinced them the battle was lost.
So they try to rationalize it with theology.
Exactly. They conclude, it must be his angel, which reflects a prevalent belief in first-century Judaism that every person had a guardian angel that resembled them and would appear right after their death.
So they aren't assuming Peter is miraculously free. They are assuming Herod already executed him, and this is his ghost.
Yeah, they were far more prepared to accept his death than his deliverance.
Meanwhile, Peter is still out in the street, aggressively pounding on the door.
But eventually they let him in.
They do, and they start causing such a chaotic commotion that Peter actually has to violently motion for them to quiet down so they don't wake up the neighborhood and get him recaptured.
Good thinking on his part.
Yeah. He credits the Lord, not the angel, for his rescue. He tells them to report this to James, Jesus' brother, who is emerging as the new leader in Jerusalem. And then he smartly leaves town to hide.
He understands that just because he experienced a profound miracle doesn't mean he should act recklessly.
Exactly. So while Peter slips away to safety, the narrative slingshots back to the tyrant.
And this builds to a dramatic, gruesome showdown.
It really does. Morning breaks at the prison, and the scene is absolute chaos. Herod interrogates the 16 elite guards, and when they can't produce an answer, he orders all of them to be executed.
Which was standard under Roman military law. A guard who allowed a prisoner to escape suffered the exact punishment slated for the prisoner.
Right, so Herod is humiliated. He relocates to his coastal palace in Caesarea, and there's this ongoing economic dispute with the coastal cities of Tyre and Sidon.
Those cities are entirely dependent on Herod's territory for their food supply.
So they use back-channel bribery. They pay off Herod's personal assistant, Blastus, to secure a peace treaty. And Herod, desperate to repair his bruised ego, turns this into a massive public relations spectacle.
The historical record adds a fascinating layer here. The ancient historian Josephus actually recorded an account of this exact event.
Oh, really? What does he say?
He noted that Herod gave this grand speech wearing a magnificent royal robe woven entirely out of silver.
Wow. So he steps out, the early morning sun hits that silver robe, and he literally blinds the audience.
He is trying to project the image of a deity.
And the crowd from Tyre and Sidon, who desperately need his grain shipments, play their part perfectly. They start shouting, "The voice of a god and not of a man."
And instead of deflecting the glory to God, Herod just drinks it in.
And instantly an angel of the Lord strikes him. The text says he is eaten by worms and dies a horrific death.
This is where we need to unpack the commentary's profound concept of the dual effect of the divine touch.
The dual effect.
Yes, think about the symmetry. Earlier that night, an angel touched Peter, bringing freedom and life. Now, an angel touches Herod, bringing judgment and death.
Wow, that's the exact same divine presence.
Exactly. The outcome depends entirely on the condition of the human heart it interacts with. It's like the same sun that melts wax also hardens clay.
Man, that's a brilliant way to look at it. It's the ultimate pride comes before the fall. Herod's fake, shiny silver glory is literally eaten away from the inside out by worms.
It is a stark, brutal reminder that human pride and political power are incredibly fragile when placed next to ultimate truth.
Absolutely. So to wrap up our deep dive today, we are left with the source's final contrast. Despite the geopolitical maneuvering, the heavy prison security, and the tragic death of James, the chapter ends by noting that, quote, "The word of God continued to advance and multiply."
The dictators rise and fall, but the movement endures.
Yeah. The narrative even mentions that Barnabas and Saul finished their famine relief mission and head back to Antioch.
And they take young John Mark with them.
Right, the kid from the house where the prayer meeting was held. The next generation is already stepping up.
It's a great full circle moment.
It really is. Now, before we go, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final provocative thought to ponder that builds on everything we've talked about today. Think about the unanswered prayers in this story. The church presumably prayed just as hard, with just as much desperate agony for James when he was arrested.
Oh, definitely.
Yet James was martyred. But when they prayed for Peter, he experienced a logic-defying, miraculous rescue. What does that tension tell us about navigating a faith where miracles absolutely do happen, but rarely the way we draw them up?
It requires an enormous capacity to hold two conflicting realities at once.
Exactly. How do you hold the deep grief of James's death in one hand and the astonishing joy of Peter's rescue in the other, and still trust the master potter managing the heat of the furnace?
That's the real challenge.
It is. Sometimes the Red Sea parts and you walk right through. And sometimes you have to stand on the banks and trust the divine timing anyway. Thank you so much for exploring this ancient thriller with us. We hope it gave you some powerful insights. Goodbye. God blesses all the listeners. Have a wonderful week.